Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you. And so we have Nick Conway with us today. Now, Nick, you own, is it 3 locations currently? It's 3, right?
Currently 3 franchise locations, yes.
Beautiful. So when Nick started with us, he was literally on the front line every day, wrapping shawarmas, doing his food orders, managing frontline staff, doing everything he needed to do, even at multiple locations. And now we've been able to turn that around. So he is working on his business and not in his business, has been able to open up a brand new one and spends most of his days actually working with his management team. And there's been some amazing things that have happened with that. So thank you, Nick, for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is dive into the first question I have for you. We want to know, what were things like before we started working together? What was life like? What was your day-to-day like? What was the business like? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, I was on the front line, managing 2 locations. And the whole purpose of that was to, try to limit our costs,
Yeah.
which is good in the short term, but in the long term, with more locations coming down the road, it's difficult to really focus on your business as a whole. So it was a lot of running back and forth between the locations, still managing the employees that we had, rather than, like you said, working on the business and focused on the next location opening and our existing employees that were coming up into the management positions.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember one of our first conversations, you're like, hey, we have like a bazillion locations slated to open. I think so. You've opened one so far, and how many more is left?
We have another one, so our 4th location will open by the end of this year, and then we have
Okay.
a 5th location just around the corner into early next year. So we signed on for multi-unit owners, and that's what we're striving towards. And that's where, meeting you and being part of ownership has really zoned in and focused on the important things to be able to get to
Okay.
that goal.
Perfect, perfect. Because I remember our first conversations, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm still doing my Cisco orders or whoever food, whichever food provider it was." And I'm like, "Hey, man, like you've got 2 more locations opening next year. Yeah, we gotta get other people doing that." So yeah, this makes total sense because I remember there was a lot of locations coming up quickly. We had to make some changes real quick. So let's talk about that. So what are some of the things that have been kind of business changing for you, or what are some of the wins that have happened that have allowed you to get to the point where you even feel comfortable being able to have these new locations open? Because a lot of people I know, let's face it, are struggling to figure out how they can run 1 or 2, let alone 5. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so when you have one location, it's you put everything, your heart and soul into it, and it becomes your baby. So when you start having multi units, you want to figure out how you can manage your time. And you have, everything with one location, you're now multiplying it by 2, and you're trying to manage your time between the 2. And it's difficult to let go and sort of pass on some of your responsibilities to your team, but once you have a system and a structure in place to allow you to do so, that's where the doors really open up into focusing on the larger picture.
Yeah, 100%. So I know that was a big thing for you, getting your management up to be able to do the things that you were doing. What are some other things that's really made a difference for the organization?
Yeah, so just your system as a whole too, and for us, we had a lot of things as a franchise that came from our corporate organization that was helping us out, but it was really grabbing all those important materials and
Mm.
putting them all into one place, and then following a strict structure, to allow our team to use as a guideline to make sure on a day-to-day basis the same things are getting done over and over. And then that allows me to put trust into my team, to follow those guidelines that we put in place. So, it's a lot of work to gather all that information, but once it's there for good. And then you can slowly tweak it and adjust it and change it how, as you need to. But that main base and that main structure is there for your team in each location in each organization, which allows me to continue to focus on the next location
Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, we just opened our third location and we had your whole system in place, ready to go for that grand opening, which made life a lot easier, where you don't already have an existing location that you have to then change your day-to-day operations. You can start it from the beginning, and have your team follow it from day one, which is much easier.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much gold in what you just said. There, I've got a bunch of thoughts that I want to jump in here with, but one of the things I wanted to point out for most owners that are at one or two locations, what you've just witnessed is how the owner actually becomes the bottleneck in the business. And the only way to break through that is to actually get a system in place and to entrust your people so that you can then manage the system and not be the system. And so one of the things Nick was mentioning there was, and I like to point this out for people, is that the biggest businesses never don't do the basics. So what that means is, literally putting a checklist in place to mop the floor, that's still there in the biggest businesses, because it's not like all of a sudden you graduate to a place where you don't have to do those things. What we set up as our system is to ensure that all the regular things that we know work, make sure they happen regularly, so that Nick doesn't have to go around and check, hey, did you sweep over there? Did you get under that corner? Did you serve this person right? We have the layers and accountability in place to make sure that happens. And so a lot of owners I know are just sitting there every day feeling like they're overwhelmed because everything's in their head, because they don't have a system and they don't have people that are responsible for it. So it seems overwhelming. And then we've got Nick here. It's like, yeah, I can now focus on the next locations that are opening up because I've been able to get that stuff out of my head on paper. And now I have people responsible for it. I just think that is so, so huge. So we've got Dave here, who's been working directly with Nick. And so I want to hear from you. What are some key things that you've noticed from Nick's team and for Nick in their journey? What have been some big things that you've taken away from that?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot of it already, but there's a couple of key things, I think. Number one was Nick's openness and to learn. Nick's a pretty on top of it smart guy, as you can see, and he's, just as he presents himself, he knows what he's doing. But he also realized that he didn't know what he didn't know, and by coming into this, he was so open to taking action on the things. That is why he had such an amazing learning curve, and why things happened pretty much on time. And because we do have plenty of situations where the timing is everything. And as we've discussed, because he had so many locations opening, we really needed to get the foundation and the systems and the structure set that he talked about quickly before that third store opening, so that, as he said, when he opened, he was ready to go right from day one on that new store. And so the fact that he saw that in advance and got the right resources to put in the places for him to be successful, which was this program, was absolutely brilliant. The second thing was taking the action. So it's pretty much what I just said, but it's building onto that. It's one thing to be open to it, but as Nick said, when you have that first store, it's your baby, and it is so hard to let go. But and it was still difficult for Nick, but he was willing to do so. And the third piece is empowering his team. So yes, it's hard to let go, and especially when you don't have 100% trust and faith in your team, because you don't know that yet. You don't know any better yet. This was completely a void for Nick at this point, because he didn't know how much they would step up and actually do the things that we were teaching and showing that they needed to do. But the fact that he put so much faith and empowered them was what leveled them up so quickly. So these are all the success principles that Nick put into place to actually make this journey so successful, and on track. And I think those are really big key pieces for anybody going through really any program. It's being open and willing to learn, putting in the actions, and having faith to get to that finish line. And those I think are the big takeaways for me. And especially working in a franchise, as Andrew and myself are very aware from, because that's where we come from, that background. Sometimes you have limitations in what you can and can't do, but you do the best with what you've got, and you find ways around to make things happen so that your business and your empire is as successful as it can be. And so I think those are some of the key points, and it's been great. It's been a great journey to watch, and it's been fun working with him and his team.
Awesome. So Nick, I would love to hear if someone is watching this and they're like, you know what, I want to open more locations. I want to do more, but I'm not sure if that's even possible, or if I can, or where to go, or if someone even is watching this and maybe they've been on a call with us, or maybe they've heard about us and they're wondering, hey, is this the right fit? What would you say to somebody in that position?
Yeah, that's a great question, because, I was on the fence for a while, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to put this whole thing into play, just doing everything by myself and figuring it out on my own. And I always thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to be able to speak to somebody that's done this before, or talk to another, multi-unit owner? And what I would say to somebody is, it's okay to ask for help, especially to somebody like yourself and your program, with your level of knowledge, because you've been there before. Excuse me. So you have that you have that experience, and it was your playbook that really caught me on Facebook. It was answering all the questions that I had, and I almost said it was too good to be true, because you were supplying all the answers. So I had to know more about what you were all about. And when I heard your backstory, owning pita pits, which is similar to our brand, and stuff, and the things in your playbook that you were offering for free, I had to reach out and I had to find out what it was all about. So sometimes it's hard to pull the trigger and actually say, hey, I need help or support on this. But has it ever done wonders for me and my team? I still have my managers from my team saying thank you for putting us into this program, because it's helped me grow as a manager, and it opened my eyes to things that I haven't seen before. So not only is it beneficial to me as an owner, it was beneficial to my whole team, and allowing them to come on the journey with me. It wasn't just me maybe reading a book or taking a course on my own and then have to regurgitate it back to my team and take up that time to do so. We did it all together. And being in multi-unit, we had multiple managers that were able to jump on board. So, anybody out there that's listening and is looking for help or support or needs guidance, ownership, any question I have, I can literally message them and they'll give me an honest response. And that's crucial in the business world.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's actually one of our core tenets as far as timing, is because small business moves fast. When you need help, and so we're literally available 24/7. So yeah, but I appreciate that feedback about your managers. I actually don't get that feedback. It doesn't always filter to me, but that's amazing. I love to be able to see that journey, and it's those opportunities that people might not have otherwise. Right. So I love that we're not just helping you and your business, but also your team as well, because you're a good dude. Most people that we work with, I would say 99% of the people that we work with are great humans, and that they want the best for their teams. And I love to be able to see that too. So to wrap this up, what's next for you? What's on the horizon in the next few years? What's possible now that might not have been possible before?
Yeah, so it's just the comfort to keep pursuing forward. So we have 2 more locations right around the corner, and then we're signing up for more after that. So
nice.
It's step by step, just to continue growing our business and growing our brand, and the opportunity to create some career paths for some of our employees, and now having the opportunity to promote from within. So, taking our base team and moving them up as we grow, and allowing more opportunity for them is very important to me, in our community and as an owner, to be able to create some lifetime experiences and careers for some of our employees. So it's just going to be keep moving forward. We're still in your program. We're still working with Dave and yourself. We're still learning every call, that we take, and every next step is extremely beneficial for us. So, I plan on sticking with you for a while, just because it's been so good so far. So
Awesome.
that's where we're
Awesome.
headed.
Man, thank you so much for being here. No, I know this is going to inspire a lot of people, because multi-units is something that, people come to me all the time and they're like, how is it even possible? I can't even get one to function right. And so you're just living proof that you can go from 1, 2 to 3 and beyond. And it is possible when you have the right team and the right systems in place. So awesome, man. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye, guys.